Hey guys, Jason here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm talking about this brand new author. I just discovered him. His name is Richard Bachman. He's a lot like Stephen King, which is why I like him. I kid, obviously. Richard Bachman, for those of you who don't know, was a pen name that Stephen King wrote a handful of books, 7 to be exact. So today I'm going to rate all of the Bachman books. As my reading project has been going, I finally read the last Bachman book, or at least the most recent one. I'm still holding out hope that Stephen will maybe release another book under the Bachman name. However, according to Wikipedia, Richard Bachman Guy, I think it's unlikely, but you never know. Anywho, let's just get right into the list here. My number 7 least favorite Bachman book is Rage. It's not very good. It's basically about a school shooter, so the subject matter is a little bit controversial, let's say. Stephen King, in fact, this is the only book published by him that is no longer in print, and that was his choice. Apparently, there were some shooters that had the book, or read the book, or something. I'm not sure the details, but anyway, back in the 90s, Stephen decided this one was going out of print. Also, it's not that good. It's clearly an early novel. I think this might have even been his first novel. Certainly he wrote this before Carrie. If you want to complete everything he's ever published, then sure, but it's not. This one is skippable for sure. Hey, kitty. Hey, you want to join me? Number 6 is going to be Road Work. This was it was fine. It was okay. It's just kind of boring and not a lot happens. There's some weird stuff in it with like a gangster. I don't know. It's been a while since I read it, but I just remember it being kind of meh. And then the end is like this big climax, which is fine. But yeah, didn't love it. Didn't love it. Number 5 is The Regulators, published in 1994. This one is like the sister novel to Desperation, which I prefer Desperation. The Regulators was just really weird. There's characters that are in both novels. It's kind of, I don't know if that's like Dark Tower-y with like twinners and stuff, or just alternate universes with the same people, or what. But it's a very weird book. There's like action figures and stuff. It's very strange. Number 4 is Blaze. This, I think, was a trunk novel. But it was the most recently published. I think it was published in 2007, maybe. But I think it was written in like the 70s. I'm sure Stephen updated it or whatever before it was published. But it's basically his like version of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. The main character is this kind of oafish big guy who is haunted by his friend George's ghost, and his friend George tells him to kidnap this rich person's baby, basically. And yeah, it's sad. It's not as good as of Mice and Men, I'll say that, but it's pretty good. Number 3 is Thinner. It's a Gypsy Curse novel. Pretty interesting. The ending is awesome. People rag on Stephen King for his endings, but this one is like really good. Very, very cool. Number 2 is The Long Walk. This one might have been the first novel he ever wrote. I don't know for sure, but this was, game show to the death, kids fighting to the death. Before the Hunger Games, before any of that, this was it. I don't know if this was the first example of that, but it's certainly an early one. I think this was published in like 1978, 1980, something like that. Very good. Very good. You'd think that a story about a bunch of kids walking on the street, going for a walk, would be boring. But it's really not. It's very good. It really sucks you in, and the ending is very, very weird, and cool, and kind of ambiguous, which is nice because it lends to a lot of discussion. Many fans consider this one of his best novels. I wouldn't go so far, but it is pretty good. And number 1, you guessed it, The Running Man, for a couple of reasons. 1, it's just really, really great. There's a lot of twists and turns, and emotionally, there was a couple of parts where I was like, oh my god. 2, the ending. Oh my goodness. I don't think that you could get this book published today If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. Thirdly, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie is one of my favorite movies. While based on this book, it's very different. But there's something about it that I just love. I love that movie, and I love the book because I love the movie, if that makes sense. Even though they're very different. A little side note about The Running Man, he does mention Derry, Maine. I think this is the first mention of Derry, Maine in any Stephen King novel, and in fact, I think that's one of the clues that tipped whoever off that Richard Bachman was Stephen King. But wait, there's more. The Dark Half. Not written by Richard Bachman or published by Richard Bachman, but it is basically about the time that Stephen King was outed. Prior to this novel being published, someone found out that Stephen King was Richard Bachman and spilled the beans. This is kind of his novel where he comes to terms with that in a weird way. It's a sleeper. Not a lot of people talk about it. There is a movie and it's not very good, but the book is great. But wait, there's even more. Misery was supposedly supposed to be published as a Richard Bachman book. Stephen King changed his mind about that because when he was outed, he didn't want to do that. So I've heard. I don't know how true that rumor is, but how interesting would that be if instead of Misery by Stephen King, it had been Misery by Richard Bachman? So yeah, that's the list. Please let me know what your favorite Richard Bachman book is. I think everyone's kind of got their own opinions about this. I've heard all kinds of things. Some people say that Roadwork is their favorite. I might be the only person that likes The Running Man. Some channel update stuff. We are doing the book club again. This month, January, read The Cipher by Kathy Koja. I'm going to do my video for that first week in February, so that should be coming here pretty soon. You still got time to read it. It's not very long. I finished it like a week ago, and I really enjoyed it. So, more on that later. Come on over to the Discord server and have a chat with us. I'll put a link in the description for that. So yeah, please join us in the pre-game. Let's call it the pre-game discussion. Anyway, that'll do it. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. See you guys next time. Peace.